At some point in the playoffs, Garret Sparks knew he'd have to live up to his billing as All Goalie of the Year in the regular season and steal a swing game for the Marlies. Sparks, trying to work his way into a backup role with the Leafs, came through in Saturday's marathon at Ricoh Coliseum, 46 saves in a 2-1 double overtime win over the Syracuse Crunch. With all due respect to Connor Ingram, the Crunch closer who stopped 55, Sparks shut the door after a second-period goal by Matthew Peca, was rock-solid during a Syracuse power play to start the second OT and kept the weary Marlies alive until Gauthier ended proceedings after nearly 40 extra minutes. Toronto leads the best-of-7 division final 2-0, with both teams getting less than 24 hours time to drive to Syracuse for Game 3. "I would have played 9 periods, if we had to," Sparks said. Coach Sheldon Keefe said it's about who recovers best to get a leg up in Game 3. The first overtime started with the tail end of a Toronto power play being denied, the second with Carl Grundstrom in the box for a high stick many Marlies thought bogus. That's when Sparks, our backbone when we mess up, as teammate Mason Marchment described him, was most composed. The Crunch fired low through traffic to try and beat the big man, who also had to be alert for pinching defensemen coming in for his swipe. "You can let adversity go one of two ways when it strikes," Sparks said of the Grundstrom call. "If you use it as an opportunity to generate momentum and make saves, who knows what will happen." Goats goal gigantic Gauthier once played for Syracuse coach Benoit Gruel at the World Juniors for Canada. Gruel, the Crunch bench, 6,700 at Ricoh Coliseum, and Leafs Nation at large can't recall a bigger goal than the Goat pulled off Saturday. Falling to the ice as he missed one clear chance, he somehow released from his stomach to find an empty net from a high and tight angle. "I'm tired. I think everyone is tired," said Gauthier, who has played 37 games for the Leafs in a mostly fourth-line role. "I was just trying to get it on net, looked up and it was in." One of the happiest Marlies to see Gauthier get it was Sparks, for a guy who has been in this organization a long time with a lot of expectations on him. A mid-first-rounder in 2013, his game is not scoring game winners, he said. But he competes. He competed 5 periods tonight, and got rewarded for it. Grind for Grundstrom. It was a tough night for Grundstrom, who was alone on a first-period power play, had a breakaway slip off his stick and tried a James Van Riemsdyk-like crease jam that failed. His team-high 7 shots were turned away by Ingram. Grundstrom, Miro Aaltonen and Andreas Johnson were part of an 0-for-5 power play on Saturday and have found Syracuse very difficult to find skating room against. Tired teams woes up for Game 3, as all teams prefer weekend dates. The Crunch were locked into hosting Sunday despite playing much later into Saturday than planned. If the Marlies get a split in Syracuse, they've been approved for 3 days off to bring the series back home next Saturday. There are fresh troops on both sides, and though Gruel likes to change goalies, Ingram was better than Game 1 starter Eddie Pasquale. The Crunch also got injured scorers Peca and Gabriel Dumont back Saturday after missing a 6-4 loss in Game 1. On the Toronto side, Sparks was anticipating the start on Sunday. "While a lack of healthy defensemen likely means no changes, we like the group we've been going with," Keefe said. "It is a back-to-back and all that, but this time of year, when guys are going, you like to keep them in a groove. Emotions are high, guys know how competitive the series is. Taken care of home ice. Now the biggest challenge is winning on the road, which Toronto failed to do, losing in 7 to Tampa Bay's farm team last spring." Asked how he stayed focused as the night dragged on, Mason Marchment joked, "A lot of talking to yourself." Game on after 3 goals on 5 shots in the third period of Game 1, the Marlies encountered far tougher sledding. After 2 power play goals Thursday, they were turned away on 3 chances through 40 minutes while giving up the game's first goal on a Mitchell Stevens blue pass that Peca caught up to and put past Sparks. The Marlies, who hadn't been shut out at home in the calendar year 2018, finally got on the board at 6:52 of the third. Trevor Moore hustled to break in between 2 defenders and was stopped, but Marchment, who just signed an entry-level contract with the Leafs, had just enough room on the rebound. Ice chips. The Marlies are now on a run of 10-0 home playoff wins since last spring. Defenseman Andrew Nielsen, who replaced the injured Andreas Borgman, sent Pierre Engvall away on a partial breakaway with a nice stretch pass in the second period. Moore now has the Marlies' playoff point lead with 7. After Mike Babcock and his assistants joined Leafs press Brendan Shanahan and assistant general manager Mark Hunter in the management box in Game 1, the star power was reduced to senior advisor Cliff Fletcher and the other Leafs assistant GM Kyle Dubas. At some point, the Leafs will have a larger scouting presence at the World Hockey Championships in Denmark. There were 3 delay of game calls on Saturday, 2 against Syracuse.